GolfNewsRI presents the Golf Dudes Podcast. Here are the dudes.
Hey everybody, happy Thursday and happy Tiger Woods plays golf day or Tiger Woods returns day, whatever you're calling it, however you're celebrating it. It's certainly an exciting week in golf. These December tournaments are turning into something more interesting than they probably otherwise would have been. This week with Tiger returning at the Hero World Challenge, and then of course the PNC Championship that he plays with Charlie in a couple of weeks. So happy Tiger Woods golf day. Certainly it'll be fascinating to watch as we tape this podcast right now. He hasn't teed off yet, so but certainly looking forward to that. He's looked good on the range. His press conference was optimistic, and so I think everyone's looking forward to seeing how he looks on the golf course. So big weekend. Really some really exciting stuff as Tiger Woods is back. As you can see, I'm ready for it. So there you go. Anyway, thanks everyone for tuning in. Hope everyone's doing well. We have a great interview with Susie Cavanagh coming up in just a few minutes. I talked to her on Wednesday night. She's former Pilgrim star, former Oregon State star. Now she's grinding her way, trying to make it in the pros. So we chatted with her for a while. It was a great conversation. You'll see that in just a minute. Quick update on Davis Chatfield, who is playing in the second stage of Q-School, which I did not see coming, but he's playing, so good for him. So he's, as of right now, he hasn't teed off yet in his third round, but he's one shot off the cut line for Q-School. Now, in the second stage, the top 13 players in ties make it to the final stage of Q-School. So Davis needs a little bit of a run here over these next 2 days, but overall, he's in pretty good shape. So exciting that he's playing, certainly exciting for us content-wise. And for him, he has a chance to get a PGA Tour card. As we've written, he's already got his Korn Ferry Tour status locked up for next season. So there's kind of no pressure on him in some ways because he's got a job already, but he's trying to make it. If he gets to the final stage Q-School and he finishes inside the top 5 at final stage, which is going to be televised on Golf Channel in a couple weeks, then he gets a PGA Tour card, which obviously would be an upgrade from the Korn Ferry Tour. So no pressure on him. Kind of playing with house money in some ways. Obviously, you want to make the cut and give yourself a chance. You want to get through the final stage, give yourself a chance, but kind of no pressure on him in some ways. And so I think it's probably good that he's playing. I was uncertain if he was going to play. I think a lot of people were, just because he already has a job for next year. Patrick Walsh isn't playing. I checked. So following that, we'll follow that into Friday afternoon. Again, as of right now, he hasn't teed off yet for his third round, but he is one shot off the cut at Q-School with 2 rounds to go. So he's still in decent shape. No one's running away with it as far as the cut line. The cut is not something ridiculous like it was on first stage where, on the first stage of Q-School, you had the cut was like 11 under par, something crazy. But the cut is very reasonable. I think the cut is 2 under and Davis is 1 under. So he's right there and he's in decent shape. Needs two good rounds and he'll be on to the final stage. So we'll obviously follow that throughout the afternoon and everything else. So that's kind of the local stuff. December's coming up. Tomorrow, Friday is December 1st. Crazy. We'll have, obviously, in the Hero World Challenge, we have the PNC that we'll do. And also in December, a lot of local high school kids go down to Florida and play in the tournaments down there at Doral. I think the Orange Cup or the Orange Bowl is one of the tournaments. So we'll have some of that coverage as well during kind of the Christmas break season. But certainly things are winding down. The year is winding down, went by so fast. So pretty good stuff. So we'll have all that for you on GolfNewsRI. Of course, we'll have the end of year, our usual end of year content and everything else. So we'll have that as well. So with that said, let's get to my interview with Susie Cavanagh. It was really a fascinating conversation. She's kind of in that same boat as the Will Dixons of the world and Christopher Kors, where she didn't make the Epson Tour Q-School cut. She missed it by 2 shots, so now she's just kind of grinding on some of the women's mini tours. But it's also a lot different in women. It's And as we talk about in the interview, it's not for women. It's not as obvious as how to turn pro and how to get to the show. Men, it's a little bit more obvious. There's many more options. Women, it doesn't seem like it's that way. And we talk about that in the show. It's a great conversation. Great to catch up with Susie, and we're looking forward to following her career as it progresses. So, without further ado, here is former Pilgrim star Susie Cavanagh. Enjoy. All right, everybody. We're here at the Golf Dudes podcast. I'm Joe Calabro. We are delighted to be joined by former Pilgrim High School golf star, hockey star at UConn, and Oregon State golf star Susie Cavanagh. Susie, thanks so much for taking a few minutes to talk to us. Hope you're doing well. Thanks for coming on.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here. You guys do some awesome stuff for Rhode Island golf, so happy to join tonight.
Yeah, it's just awesome to connect with you. Obviously, here at GolfNewsRI, we try to follow all kinds of golf. We cover all kinds of golf as best as we possibly can. And you've been trying in the pros for some time, and we cover the Will Dixons of the world and the Davis Chatfields and Patrick Walters of the world. So I'm interested in getting kind of the woman's side of professional golf a little bit. But right now you have some status on the Epson Tour, which for those that are wondering is basically like the Korn Ferry Tour equivalent to women's golf. So you have some status there, but just talk about, and we'll get into your career and kind of your path, but just talk about kind of your status right now as a professional golfer on the women's side of things, and what you're kind of excited about or what you're working on at the moment.
Sure. Yeah. So I'm down in Florida right now, working as an assistant at a golf course. I worked there last year, like in the shop, and they brought me back on this year, which has been great. They let me play and practice there as much as I want, which is awesome. So I played last year. I pretty much was the first year I tried to play. I went and I played on the WAPT, which is like a mini tour. And they play kind of mid-south, so Louisiana, Texas, Oklahoma. Not necessarily the most desirable places to be in the summer, but it's good. It's a great tour. So I played on that, kind of got some experience, got some reps in. Went to Q-School in the end of August in Palm Springs. Did okay, made the first cut, which was after 3 rounds, and then I missed the cut to go to stage 2 by 2 shots. So with making that first cut, I'll have very little status, but some status on Epson. So I'll get some starts. It's kind of based on priority. So I'm pretty, I'm at the worst priority on the list, but I am, going to get some starts. And then if I play well on those, you kind of reshuffle and your priority, increases, and then I'll get into more events, and same thing. You just kind of hope you can parlay it into, a good experience. So before that, I'm just going to try and probably do the mini tour events again, travel around and get tournament ready and just be ready for when I have the opportunity.
Yeah, for those watching, you're kind of the equivalent to like Will Dixon, Davis Chatfield-ish, where Chatfield Davis he didn't get full status on the Korn Ferry Tour to start with, then through good play here and kind of full status, and now he's through next year. He is playing a second stage of Q-School this week out in California, as we reported, because he can still earn a PGA Tour card with the top 5.
Yeah, if he plays well,
At final stage. But so you're in that general vicinity. For you, when did golf? When were you like, okay, golf is like my thing? You played hockey. You're a big hockey player for a while into college. Yeah. When for you? Like I asked, when was golf the thing? When were you like, okay, golf is my sport?
Yeah, it took me a while to kind of I played it growing up. I was fortunate enough to play at Agawam Hunt growing up, like from when I was 11 and 12 on. So I used to play there, and I always played. I played in the Pilgrim golf team, whatever. But I played everything. I played field hockey. I played hockey. I dabbled kind of in everything. And I was always kind of in the camp of whatever works out. And then I did a prep school year at Cushing Academy, a post grad year, and I just got picked up to go to UConn. Like they recruited me and it worked out. So I played at UConn for a year, played ice hockey and had a good year. I played in every game as a freshman. Whatever, but they weren't going to offer me like a full ride, which I'm from a big family. So like I kind of needed that. And then I happened to have a really good summer that summer after my freshman year in Rhode Island golf. I think I won the state am or the stroke play or something. And I was caddying for somebody and they were kind of like, man, you should really go play golf. Like you could probably get a golf scholarship. And so basically I kind of was like, yeah, you're probably right. So I stopped playing hockey, didn't go back to UConn, and then kind of went all in on golf. Went down to Florida, I caddied, I worked, and I qualified for the USAM out in Portland, Oregon. And it was honestly pretty lucky, just timing wise. They had written an article about how I switched from hockey to golf, and it caught the attention of the Oregon State coaches, and they came out and watched me play and kind of offered me right there, like right then, just kind of like recruited me. So it wasn't, I always played golf, but it wasn't like, I don't know. It was just like, man, like, yeah, I could do this, whatever. Like I was always okay, but I was never in Rhode Island, like the winters, you can't really be all in on golf. Like you gotta, it's pretty hard, So I always did other things in the off season. And hockey was my first kind of sport. I played that since I was 3 or 4. So, but yeah, I kind of just not fell into my lap, but kind of was like, yeah, you know what, you're right. Like I could probably do this. And there's a lot of opportunity for women's golf in college. There's like, I think it's the most unused scholarship. So I wasn't expecting, I didn't know what I was getting into when I got recruited by Oregon State. I didn't realize Pac-12 was what it was when I was getting recruited. I just was like, oh, cool. This school in Oregon wants me to play golf. Like, okay. And, but yeah, I didn't really know what I was getting into, but it was good. So I got kind of lucky.
What was that transition like to go from, New England to all the way across the country to Oregon State and playing golf? What was that transition like? Because we have kids now, whether it's girls or boys, going kind of all over for college, and maybe not going all the way across the country, but they're going to different places.
Yeah.
What was that transition like for you?
It was different. Yeah. You can't really get much further away, to be honest. So that was tough.
And Alaska, you could have gone to Alaska, but
I was gonna say, fair. I would have to stick with hockey. But yeah, it's pretty far. It was a little tough at first, but like the coaches and like my teammates there were, super supportive, and that's all that stuff is good. It was tricky. Like I said, it's pretty far, like only coming home once or twice a year, seeing my family like once or twice a year. That was, it was hard, but it was worth it by all means. So no complaints on that end, but yeah, it was a little bit different. And then transition from hockey, which is such a team oriented sport, and, there's a locker room, and then going into golf, which it's played as a team sport in college, but ultimately we all know it's an individual sport. Right. So there was a lot of that took me a little bit, that transition of kind of like how the team works from the hockey to golf. But it was good. It was a great transition. I wasn't too keen on the idea of going to like college after. I was like, oh, I can just turn pro and like I can just, caddy and whatever. And I didn't really want to go back to school. And luckily my parents and the coaches who recruited me really pushed me to make sure I went, and thank God they did, because I don't know what I would have been doing if I didn't play college golf. So it was good. Once I got over the hump of like going back to school, because I'd taken 2 years off and I was caddying and having a good time. So once I kind of got back into like, okay, I have to go to class and I have to study. Once I kind of transitioned that part, I loved it. It was great.
Now, in the midst of your collegiate career, you came back to Rhode Island. You won 2 RI Women's Amateur titles in 2014 and 2016. Just talk about that. Talk about that experience and what RI Women's Golf was like at that time for competitors.
Yeah, it was definitely different. Now I feel like you got a lot of younger players. There weren't too many. There was a few of us. They used to have before. They used to have RIWGA, and then before it was like merged. So I actually grew up going to these. They had these Saturday clinics at Buttonhole, and like Nancy Chaffee and like kind of legends in Rhode Island. They used to like teach at those, and they used to help out. And they did these cool things. They called them play days in the summer, where we could go. I think I played almost nearly every course in Rhode Island. Like just they would let us on and have these junior girls out there. It was like a girls program. So I kind of came up through that, where I would play these courses, and I met a few girls. there's a few of us that were pretty competitive at the time. Nicole Scola, she played at Quinnipiac. We kind of battled a little bit in like state stuff and high school stuff. But yeah, it was a definitely different landscape. But I kind of grew up, in the RIWGA, and then they merged with RIGA. So the events were run, it was stronger events, I think. But I kind of came up through that RIWGA. So I knew a lot of the women, and it was different. Like, I remember playing with all of the women there, and we traveled. I think we played I played in the state team event in like Missouri or something with a bunch of the ladies, like Kibby Riley and a bunch of, ladies who play competitive golf still in Rhode Island. But yeah, it was a little bit different kind of landscape than it is now. So you got some young junior girls who are, pretty strong players, but there wasn't too many of us back then.
Was always interesting to me, and I've talked to a number of, like we talked about, we try to cover all these kids or guys, not necessarily kids anymore, but guys turning pros and even women to a certain extent. But for you, when was pro golf a thing for you? When were you like, I think I can do this, I think I can make it, or this is my future, this is what I'm doing? When did that, was it right away? Was it after you graduated? When was that a thing for you?
Yeah, that's kind of an interesting path to that as well. After I was done playing college golf and I graduated in 2019, I was kind of over it. Like, I was kind of over playing college golf, and I never thought I would be like that. Yeah, I used to hear about kids getting burnt out and whatever, and I played sports my whole life, and I never thought I'd be somebody like that. And but I was like, I didn't love it. I didn't like competing. Whatever, just anxiety of competition, whatever it was, I just was not into it. So I kind of stopped playing almost fully for like a year. I was just doing odd stuff. I was catering and working for UPS. And then Norm Alberigo, he was at Agawam, and he was kind of begged me to come back, and I worked for him as an assistant. And then we ended up going over to Ledgemont. And Tom, who kind of got us hooked up together, he last summer, I was playing some stuff. I played a couple of events. And he kind of was he saw me play a couple of times, and he was like, man, you got to play. You got to give it a try. You got to do this. And I I want to play. At that point, I kind of got the love back for it, but I wasn't all in on it. And he kind of got me to be all in on it. He kind of rallied the members at Ledgemont. He and a few other members, they kind of got together, got a group, and they raised me some money and said, here, we want you to go play. And they're the reason I basically was chasing it, and I'm chasing it now. Last year, they kind of gave me the opportunity, gave me kind of some seed money, some starter money for last year. So it was, a lot of it was kind of Tom Machado kind of getting me to want to, play and give it a shot and say, hey, we can help you out here. If it's money holding you back, here's some, and let's do it. So that was it. And I I wasn't sure if I could kind of play at that level. I wasn't, I hadn't tested myself with that kind of competition. And then through this last year of competing with these girls out there, there's no doubt in my mind now that I can hang with them and I can play. So it was a good, a great eye-opening experience for me. So yeah, but it was a lot of him, and then Norm kind of pushing me, saying, hey, don't wait anymore. You don't want to be guessing if you can play or not. Just go do it. So that was awesome.
I think what's interesting, and one of the reasons of the many I was excited to talk to you was just, we have a lot of guys have turned pro, as we talked about before we started recording, with Patrick Welch's, Will Dixon's, Davis Chatfield's, Chris Francoeur, Andrew O'Leary most recently turned pro, and all these guys are turning pro. And what's interesting, and for better or for worse, in golf, when you turn pro, there's not really anything. Okay, I'm a pro. I can I'm a pro golfer. Now I suck at golf, so I'm not doing that. But
yeah,
in theory, you can do that.
Yeah, basically.
So, and the other sports, is a draft, there's an NHL draft, there's an NFL draft. There's an obvious way to turn pro. In golf, that's not necessarily the case. It's kind of like okay, well, you're congrats, you're turned pro. You go figure out how to make it. And in women's golf, I feel like, and I could be wrong, so please correct me, but I feel like there is less of a path to a less of a direction or a path. I'm not sure what the word is. Again, feel free to correct me, but I feel there's less of a way to go for
Yeah.
women than there is for men. Like men, Q-School, there's a bajillion different Q-School locations. We covered on GolfNewsRI.com. It's been fascinating to follow. Don't get me wrong. But for women, I feel like there's less of a path to the pros than there is for the men. Would you agree? And what would you say to kids, girls from Rhode Island or elsewhere that are potentially looking to turn pro or at least try it and see what happens? Like what would you be your kind of advice, I guess?
Advice on that? Yeah. There's definitely like you kind of hit the nail on the head. Like there's way fewer avenues. Like there's the men's side, there's tons of mini tours all over the country, different areas, whatever. The women's side, it's very like there's 2 or 3 really, like that's it. And the one I played on I think is probably, and I think pretty much everybody would agree, is one of the strongest mini tours. It is the strongest. It's a full from April to August to full schedule, and they give you opportunities to get exemptions into Epson events and LPGA events. So it's good, but that's it. Like really, like there's not much down here in South Florida. Like there's a new one that kind of came out for used to be the East Coast Women's Pro Tour, and now it's rebranded. It's like this NXXT Tour, and they're kind of down here in Florida, in Orlando, over the winter. So there's those events. There's the Cactus Tour, which has been around forever, in Arizona, and then this WAPT that I played on. But that's pretty much it. And I mean, there's not tons of other options. There's only, basically it's LPGA, Epson, and then this WAPT, and that's pretty much it. And then you can go in there's like a South African like Sunshine Tour. You can go over there, and then there's the the Ladies European Tour. If you want to go overseas, those are other options. But yeah, that's pretty much it. So I mean, it took like I didn't really know what I was getting into when I kind of turned pro. I was like, all right, this is what I'm gonna do. Like when I started to go chase it last year, but I didn't really know. And like I luckily a couple of my college teammates, they were trying to play too, so I could lean on them for information and where to play, like what events to play, what tours to play on. But there's not a whole lot. I mean, there's like I said, those couple of tours. But the opportunities aren't. They're working on it. It's getting better. Purses are getting better, and everybody knows there's this disparity between the men and the women's side. Men there's way more of them, and there's a bigger draw, and they've just got way more sponsors, bigger sponsors on all levels. So that part of it stinks, but it's getting better. I can definitely say it's getting better, which is nice. But yeah, if somebody's trying to go play, you got to look into those kind of 3 or 4 tours. And then if you want to go try play overseas, it's not a bad option either. I've considered it. I haven't done anything with that yet, but it's a good option for sure. But yeah, I'd agree. There's far less opportunity. I think the men, there's a lot of stuff around. Even in Florida, there's like, I don't know, a handful, at least in just South Florida, like mini tours you can play on. And I can play in a couple of those events, and I've thought about that. There's like the minor league tour. They let women play. It's just, it's just an experience thing. Like if you want to just get the reps in, it's pretty hard to hang with those guys. I mean, they pay for from like 1 tee up. Like the ladies get, the advantage of 1 tee. So it's tough because those guys are really good. But it's good. Just, tournament reps, all that stuff. So you can't, it's something.
What I'm always interested in this, and I talk to all these guys about it. What is the grind like, right? What is the pro golf grind like? I mean, we follow Monday Q Info on Twitter and Instagram for that matter. And he's amazing.
Yeah.
The content he produces is amazing.
Awesome.
Hopefully we can get to that level one day. But
yeah,
what is the grind like for you nowadays, right? Playing the major tours, being a pro. What is that like? Take people through kind of what that really is like.
Yeah, I mean it's tough. Like it's like everybody says, it's a grind, but I personally love it. Like I love the grind. I love working towards it. I like, the whole thing, kind of just plugging through it. It's tough. I mean, I met a lot of nice girls out there, a lot of nice other women that I hang out with and stuff, but it's lonely. Like you're by yourself. I drove pretty much everywhere last year. So I was driving from I'm in Southeast Florida. So I was driving up and over to Louisiana, and then I'd spend 2 weeks, play 2 events, drive back. And then I drove over to Texas, and and then up to Oklahoma and then drove back. And like I did a lot of that. Like I did a lot of driving. So like those trips are tough, like the grind of driving to save money. But yeah, 16-hour trips like nonstop. That kind of grind that wears on you, just like knowing you're going to be in the car for 16 hours and okay, I'm wasting a day in the car. And then you go, and I was lucky enough to get host housing a lot, which was huge. So it saves you a ton of money. You meet some awesome people that are willing to open their house and, invite you in and make you dinner and make you feel comfy. And it's unbelievable. So that was nice. And to be able to have a home cooked meal, like on the road, like all the time, and good conversation at night, people supporting you. So that was really nice. So that kind of keeps the loneliness and the, like, bummer of being on the road a bunch, like to a minimum. So that was kind of huge, but yeah, it's a grind. And then just the like mental grind and the physical grind of playing golf, a bunch of days in a row. And then some days you suck and like it really sucks. And you got to go back the next day and say, all right, hopefully today's better. And like you just kind of keep doing it and keep going to the tournaments. And I learned a ton. Like it may not seem like it sometimes, where like your score doesn't reflect it, but every time you're out there, you're learning, you're getting better. So the grind of that, like I said, like I said, I enjoy it. Sometimes maybe not, where you think you hate the game and you say, why am I doing this? I could have financial stability, mental stability. Like I could have a stable life if I just had like a normal job and whatever. But I mean, what's cooler than getting up every day and playing golf for like a living? That's kind of cool. So I love it. But yeah, it's grindy. Like there are days where you hate it, and there's days when it's miserable. But yeah, I mean, I wouldn't want to be doing anything else. So I love it.
It's better than an office job, probably, right?
Yeah, exactly. That was always my thing with like being a golf pro and just like trying to play golf. Is like I couldn't sit at an office. Like I couldn't sit at a desk all day. Like I'd go nuts. So yeah, gotta do something where I'm moving. So
one that I've always been amazed by, and you referenced the mental side of the game, is these guys that go into tournaments, or girls, guys or girls. I keep saying guys. I'm sorry, guys or girls.
Yeah, you're good.
who go into tournaments and they play really well, but maybe just not well enough, and you don't make the cut or you don't win the tournament. And then like the next day, it seems like maybe not literally the next day, but the next day or two, they get up and they're back in another tournament, and they're just as they do just as good as they previously did, and they don't really think much of it. For you, I mean, you were in the Epson tour, you missed the Q-School Cup by 2 shots, and then you kind of get right back on the grind, within the next few days, whatever it is.
Yeah.
I've always wondered, like, how do these guys and girls do that? Like, how do you, like, you have to be super mentally strong, because I think most people, like, losing a tournament by a couple of shots will literally like just kill you. Like you just I'm gonna just like stay in bed all day on Monday.
Yeah,
like,
it makes you feel
bother
that way.
like waking up. Like how do you guys like do that? Like how strong mentally you have to be to just okay, well I lost, that friggin' sucked. On the next day type of thing. Maybe it's not that easy, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, and I wish it was that easy. I wish it was like a kind of an easy answer, like, oh yeah, just X, Y, and Z, but it's not. And like it's different for everybody how they handle it. And that was kind of my first experience, Q-School this past August, of kind of missing something like that. And you always hear the stories of people, you see it like Monday Q, you see them covering these things where they they miss it by 1, or they, whatever it is. And it's just like, man, like it kills you. And it feels that way. Like it was terrible, but I think you got to like you got to find the positives in something, like in like anything like that, anything that you fail. And it's not like, I hate to say fail, but like it's, you failed at that time, but it's all experience. It's all, everything. You got to kind of put it in a bucket and say, yeah, like I can use this for something else. And I kind of started doing that. I kind of started doing that with my mental side this year, just saying, put it aside and go back to it later, file it away, use it. Okay, I had that experience. Okay, I missed by 2 shots. I did this. Okay, next time, whatever. So you got to find, there's positive in everything. There's good, bad, and then there's things you got to work on. That's kind of how I try and look at it. There's times where it's like, it's the same for everybody. It's all relative, but it's the same for everybody. Somebody the same for the, 28 handicapper as it is for the 8, as it is for the scratch. Like everybody has their mental struggles. It's just relative to where you're at and what you're dealing with. It's so, I mean, like it's golf is, as we know, it's a fickle game. It's brutal. It's like there's some days you feel like you're a hero out there. You feel like you could, who knows, you could break par every day. And there's other days where you're like, I can barely get it airborne. And it's the same for everybody. I don't care how good you are. Everybody has those days and those tournaments. But it's getting something out of it, pulling something positive out of it, and finding a way to kind of use it in some way to improve yourself some way. And I think and I kind of try to look at that this year, playing that mini tour is, I didn't really look at I look at the scores and you want to make cuts and all that, but I just honestly, I told myself this every tournament was that it was just, all it was practice for Q-School, practice for the future. It's just like another rep. Like, yeah, would I love to win? Would I love to make every single cut, move up the leaderboard? Sure. Like I would love all that, but I just had to look at it as, okay, it's just practice. It's just like, this is not it for me. Like, this is just repetition. So just trying to find that, and you can't get down yourself and missing cut or, having a bad day. Like it's going to happen. It's golf. But finding the positives in, those failures, I guess.
Well, you pros take a lot more positives out of golf rounds than I do. That's for sure.
It's relative, sometimes it's, how many beers can you drink in a night?
That's my level of golf. How many beers can you drink? That's what I think out of it.
That's a good, exactly. You got to find your positives.
That's what I take out of it. I want to do a couple quick hitters, then we'll get you out of here. I'm sure you have better things to do. Let's go way back.
Mm-hmm.
Your best memory from playing golf at Pilgrim High School.
Oh man. That's a good one.
Give me something.
It'd probably be practices with there's 2 other girls on the team. We played at Valley, and we used to just have a great time together, just laughing and goofing off. Like high school golf is it's silly, but yeah, probably just one of those days at Valley, like just hacking around. That's probably that, I would say.
As I mentioned, you won the women's amateur, RI women's amateur in 2014, 2016. Obviously the championship matches are probably the obvious answers, but is there a match or a shot that you hit, or shots that you hit that kind of stands out that you'll kind of remember?
Oh yeah.
Kind of forever. What are those shots or shot?
In 2014, it was at Agawam, which was my home course, and I was working there, and I had Tom Machado on the bag, and it was the finals match, and I was going back and forth with Nicole Scola, and we had high school matches and state amateur matches, battles before. And I kind of got down in the match right at the end, or I was leading and it got to even or whatever. And then I ended up stoning a shot on 16 to kind of I put it to 2 feet, almost hold it out. And it was just all this adrenaline. And then, I went up in the match, and then I was able to close it out, I think on 17, but it was it was probably one of the best golf shots I hit, under the gun. Bunch of members were there watching. Tom was in the bag, and he pulled the right club, made a good swing, and kind of put the dagger in, which was nice.
Your favorite course to play in Rhode Island? What's your other? I mean, obviously you remember Agawam, so perhaps that'll be the answer. But your favorite course, your favorite memory of playing a Rhode Island golf course?
Oof, yeah, that's another good one. I'm a big fan of Point Judith. Love Point Judith. Love Triggs. I love Triggs. Triggs is a good one. I mean, Ledgemont, I guess, is Seacon technically, but I put it in the Rhode Island category. I love playing out there. I think it's a really good golf course. I think it's a great track. So I think it's one of the more challenging courses around. It's pretty demanding. So I like playing out there.
All right. Before you were a star golfer, you were a hockey player. When was the last time you laced them up? And 2, your favorite hockey memory?
Oh man. So I laced them a couple times in the last couple years, pond hockey, with my brothers and my sisters, really low key. But I haven't played a hockey game since my last game at UConn. So that's been a while, full gear. But yeah, just kind of tooling around on the pond, couple winters ago. Favorite hockey memory. That's tough. I think scoring my first college goal at BU would be up there. That was pretty cool. And then, I mean, high school hockey, that was a lot of fun. I played in the boys team. We had, we had a lot of fun playing, playing high school hockey. So a lot of those memories.
Did you, when you converted, quote unquote,
Yeah.
from hockey to golf, did you have to kind of get the hockey slap shot out of your golf swing? Because I see a lot of hockey players. We are fortunate to have a couple at Kirkbride, and maybe not so much anymore, but certainly when they first came, they all had that. They all hit the ball 2 miles. They don't know where they hit the ball 2
Yeah.
miles. They all kind of have that kind of
The same
slap
kind of,
shotty
the same kind of
swing.
slap shot move.
Was that
Yeah.
a thing? Was that a thing for you, or was it pretty easy
I mean,
to
I think so. I mean, I'm
convert?
fortunate that I hit it pretty far, and I like to think that was because of hockey. Whether it's slap shot or the legs or something. Yeah, I mean, like not really. Like in all honesty, like sometimes the way my swing is, I sometimes think about a hockey shot, like hitting, coming through and kind of covering it that way. So I'll like rehearse kind of, and I think about a slap shot on occasion. So no, not too bad. I try and, rely on that a little bit because like I said, I think that's why I hit it far, is from the hockey background. So I try and lean on that a little bit.
All right, if you had to hit one shot in golf, what would it be? What's your favorite shot to hit, favorite club, favorite shot, whatever it might be? One shot you had to hit. You had to have it. You have to stick it on the green. What are you pulling?
Well, see, again, I love to drive the ball, so I would say driver. Like I draw, I draw driver. I just want to send it. But if not, probably like 85 yards with like a 54-degree wedge, just kind of flight it, spin it. I love those kind of wedge shots.
Awesome. And then lastly, we've talked about it a little bit, but I want to get you out of here on this. I think, as I said, I think this is a unique time in golf in Rhode Island. All the kids turning pro, kids going to top colleges, whether it's Division I, Division III, or still playing college golf. I think it's a crazy time in the state, really exciting for a lot of people. But my last question for you would be, and again, I know we hit on this a little bit, but just advice that you would have to female golfers in Rhode Island, in Little Rhode Island, that are trying to make it, whether they're going pro or not, or just trying to play, play college golf. What would your advice be to them as someone who's on the grind now and who's made it in some ways? But what would your advice be to Rhode Island girls, golfers?
I mean, just honestly play as much as you can. Any kind of competition. I think in Rhode Island, New England, they're so fortunate to have the Challenge Cup and Dave Adamonis and all those tournaments, and they do such an amazing job. So play as much as you can. Just you can't have too much experience. Nobody will ever say that they have too much experience in something. So play as much as you can, learn as much as you can, get out there. For a long time in high school growing up, and I didn't play tournament golf because I didn't think I was good enough. So I didn't start playing tournaments till it was probably too late. I was like a junior or senior in high school, and I should have just been playing the whole time. And who cares, how bad you are, how bad you think you are. You can get better, and you're only going to get better by doing it. So play as much as you can, get your name out there, and then just, don't kind of like put yourself in a box thinking that you're not good enough or something can't, like, you'd be surprised, how good you actually are and what playing will do for you. So play as much as you can, play in what you think might be out of your league, play up and stuff, and just compete. Like competing there's nothing like it. There's no way around it. So just compete as much as you can, matches, putting matches, whatever, short game, up and downs, compete like with everybody and anybody, as much as you can, because that's going to go a lot further than hitting balls in the range or having a pretty swing. If you can compete, that's going to go a long way.
I lied. One more, only because I want to give you a chance to plug kind of what you have going on. But where can people find you next? Where can people watch you or follow you online or follow the live scoring? What do you have up tournament wise with the next month, 2 months, whatever it is? What do you have coming up next?
Yeah, I mean, right now I'm not playing a ton. Trying to kind of work a bit, save some money for the upcoming season. So the WAPT season gets going in April-ish. So I'll definitely be trying to play in those events. If before that, the NXXT tour down here, it's out of Orlando. They've got some winter events that I'll probably try and sharpen my game before the WAPT, like February, March in there. So yeah, I'm not big on social media. I have it, but I don't really go on it. I probably need to. So I'm on there though, but maybe eventually I'll do that whole social media thing. But yeah, just the WAPT, and then hopefully I can play some Epsom events. They can actually come up, New England, they play in Connecticut, and New York. So hopefully I'll be able to get into those events, have like a home crowd, which would be nice. So we'll see, but that's not till late in the summer. So, but yeah, WAPT for now. And then just kind of see what happens.
Well, here in Rhode Island it's November and it's freezing out, so we're waiting. The summer can't come fast enough, so
Yeah, I know. You
people
guys,
always like
yeah,
fast forward to the summer. So
yeah, no kidding. Just get through. Yeah. No, thank you.
Susie Cavanagh, thank you so much for doing this. I really appreciate it. It's been awesome to talk to you, and good luck. Obviously, the rest of your career. I'm sure we'll keep in touch. But thanks so much for taking a few minutes, more than a few minutes, to come on and talk to us.
Yeah, no, thank you, Joey. Thanks for having me. Thanks for all you guys do for Rhode Island golf. It's cool to have people out there following it and then getting it out to the people. So thank you. Thanks for having me.
That's Susie Cavanagh. Follow her on the Epsom Tour and many tours, and we'll be tracking here on GolfNewsRI.com, obviously, as well. So thanks, everybody. We'll be right back on the Golf Dudes podcast. All right. Thanks so much to Susie Cavanagh for taking a few minutes out of her night to talk to me. Again, it was a really great conversation. Hope everybody enjoyed it. So that conversation will be up on the website on Friday as usual. And we'll clip it up and make some reels out of it and things of that nature for the social media crowd. So again, thanks so much to Susie for taking some time. And we look forward to following her for the rest of her career. So with that said, also I'd like to thank, actually, before we wrap up, just want to say thanks to everybody who bought merch for our Cyber Monday deal earlier this week from the Pro Shop. Really appreciate it. Every little bit helps. So whether you bought a t-shirt or a mug or whatever, thank you for that. We did, we actually did pretty decent. I mean, nothing crazy, but decent enough for us. So thank you to everybody who bought merch, and hopefully you all enjoy it. The key is going to be when you get your merch in the mail, show it off, put it on social media, brag about it, all that stuff. So again, thank you to everybody who contributed and bought some merch. We're working to improve merch. We're working to make better stuff, or do better stuff, or promote it more, whatever the case may be. But we are working on that. So anyway, thank you to everybody. With that said, enjoy the golf this week. It should be fascinating to see what Tiger looks like. I'm pumped. I'm watching him warm up right now on Golf Channel. He tees off in 10 minutes as of the taping of this podcast. So I'm pumped. The key is going to be how is he walking. Supposedly he hasn't been in any pain. And so that will be what to watch this weekend, more so than the actual golf swing or golf shots themselves. I would imagine he's going to be rusty. So super exciting stuff. We'll have coverage on GolfNewsRI.com. And with that said, hope everyone has a great weekend. And we will talk to you next week. Same bat time, same bat channel. This is the Golf Dudes podcast. I'm Joe Calabro. Bye.